Hello everyone, and welcome to the DayZ Standalone Alpha. This has been a very highly anticipated game for quite a long while now, and it's finally available on Steam. You can buy into the alpha for about $30 US. Now in this video I wanted to give my first impressions, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the alpha and its initial release. So let's talk about what's good about the alpha and what's different from the Arma 2 mod. Well, that's the survival aspect of the game. It's extremely important for your player to have food and water now. Not only have the food and water, but it be clean, drinkable water, and non-spoiled food. If you run around drinking dirty pond water and eating spoiled rotten fruit, your character is going to get sick and ultimately die if you can't find antibiotics. This is great for the game because it's no longer possible to survive on a can of beans and a Mountain Dew as you scavenge from Kamenka to Electro up to the Northwest Airfield looking for your AS-50 so you can just snipe fresh spawns on the beaches. Looting is so much more important now, and managing your inventory as well. It's not about having a couple cans of beans and then tons and tons of ammo. You really need to make sure you have plenty of food and water on your character. And the looting aspect leads into my next point, and that is the enterable buildings. Most of the buildings in every town are now enterable and can spawn loot. That is extremely important to the value and playability of the game, because now every town is important. And if you're making your way up north, you really need to hit those towns on the way in order to replenish your character with food and water. So now let's go on to the inventory system. Well, you can see my character there on the left. He's got a camouflage jacket, camouflage pants, running shoes, a tactical vest, a gas mask, sunglasses, and a helmet. Everything that I just named there is a separate item with its own unique stats. Different types of clothing have different benefits to your character. Jackets, hoodies, raincoats will all protect your character better from the elements, as well as have more space for carrying items. Same goes for having large cargo pants versus something like street jeans. You can see me managing my inventory here. You'll notice that certain items take up more space within my inventory, so managing what you have is all the more important. Another cool feature you can see is those medical kits there. I can take those medical kits out and they actually hold 6 slots. So I can stuff them full of medical supplies or extra gear that I have and then put them back into my jacket or my backpack, and it will only take up 4 slots, and those items won't be accessible while they're inside the medical kit. You'll have to take it out, open it, and then take the item out. That's a really cool feature and allows you to carry more gear. Another vast change from the mod and extreme improvement to the game is item condition. So every item that you find will have a condition, anywhere from completely destroyed all the way up to pristine. This will have effect on its usability as well as its effect onto your player's health. So for example, having a jacket that's completely destroyed will protect your character less from the elements, making you more likely to get sick. As well as aspects like consuming damaged foods could have negative impacts on your player's health, leading to infection and so on. This adds yet another layer to the value of items. So 2 cans of beans, one's pristine and one's damaged. The pristine can obviously has more value than the other. Now this doesn't seem to be fully implemented into the game yet, so right now it seems as though item condition doesn't necessarily affect your player just yet. Another great addition to the game is the item hotbar, which you can see below my character there. This allows you to place important items into the bar and access them by pressing the number keys. Now it's a little glitchy and a little buggy and still needs to be smoothed out upon final release. Now what you're about to see here is another great aspect of the game, is the melee combat. You're now able to use your fist along with other items such as bats, hammers, screwdrivers, knives, shovels, sticks, fire extinguishers, all sorts of different things as melee weapons. This gives you a much better way, much easier way to defend yourself when you're a fresh spawn, as I pummel this zombie to death. However, right now it's extremely clunky, especially when using other items such as axes or bats, things of that nature. I've found so far that it's easier just to use my fists and punch the zombie in the face, knocking them out. So the last thing I want to mention on the good notes is just the overall improvements that the dev team has done to the Chernarus map. Not only have they added new cities, new towns, enterable buildings, but they've also improved the existing look of the map as well. You can see here I'm in Stary Sabor. They've added lots of new buildings, new trees, added leaves on the ground, and as well as destroyed vehicles and other aspects that make the game really feel like you're in a survival horror situation. Okay, so what don't I like about the game so far? Well, besides obvious things like bugs, glitches, clunkiness, I mean, it's in alpha, so it's not fair to hold those things against the developers just yet. But there is one thing about the game that I really don't like, and that goes along with the character saving system. Now, as you know, you can spawn in and out of different servers and take your same character with you, as the advent that there's no private hives just yet. Now this is great from the standpoint that if a server goes down or restarts or resets, you can take your character and continue playing elsewhere. The problem with this is exploits. What I mean by this is it's very easy to exploit this feature. You can take your character, join a relatively unpopulated server, go to a high value area like say the military base just outside of Kamenka, go there, farm what you can. If you still need items, you just log out, go to another relatively unpopulated server where you know you're going to be safe, log back in, farm that, and continuously do this until you get all the loot that you need. Then, let's say you found something like a sniper rifle. You could take your character to a rooftop in Cherno, where in a server with almost nobody in it, you're relatively safe. You'll go log out on that rooftop and then join a very highly populated server. And then you're on this rooftop with all sorts of people unsuspecting running around below you, and you just have free reign to shoot and kill them. This has already happened to me in the standalone. I was at the military base in Kamenka inside a barracks that was empty, and then somebody spawned in behind me and shot me directly in the back. Now if you remember playing the initial mod release and getting sniped from that pesky sniper hill in Electro, most of the time it was people using this exploit. Joining an unpopulated server, finding AS-50 and tons of ammo, getting themselves to that hill, and then joining a highly populated server. Sniping everybody they could in Electro or Cherno, wherever they logged back in, and then switching servers and doing it all over again. This was a huge exploit and a huge problem to the game. The only real way I can see to kind of limit or mitigate this exploit is to change the way people are allowed to log out and log back into servers. I think that players should not be able to log out within a certain radius of cities, towns, or military installations. If players are going to choose to log out, they should have to do so in a more remote location. This would help mitigate loot farming as well as the server hopping and killing of unsuspecting players from rooftops or just outside of cities. So what happens if a player decides to log out in one of these areas, or a game freezes, or the server restarts? Well, I think that if you're in one of these areas and that happens, you should spawn somewhere near but outside of that city limits. This would prevent somebody from getting on a rooftop with a sniper rifle and then just server hopping. So far, upon my initial impressions, that's really been the only thing that I dislike about the game so far, so hopefully they'll find a way to change that in the future. So is there anything ugly about the game so far? Well, if you've ever played the DayZ mod, or just Arma in general, you'll know that performance has always been a big issue. People struggle to get over 30 frames a second in large cities and towns, even on extremely good hardware. Now, throughout the development process, developers have said that they know performance is a big issue with the mod, and that performance is one of the main goals of the standalone. Now, the reason I've included performance as the ugly trait, in my opinion, is because I haven't really seen, there doesn't really appear to be any significant improvement to the performance of standalone versus the DayZ mod. You still feel like you're playing Arma in terms of massive frame drops within cities, or even just randomly throughout the map you'll get massive frame hits. And again, the reason I've included this in the ugly column is not because I don't think that they haven't paid any attention to this. I just think that it's really ingrained into the engine that they're using, is that it's really CPU taxing, and especially in those certain areas. And I think it's a lot more difficult for them to eliminate that from the game than maybe they initially thought. So it's in the ugly column because I believe, in my opinion, I think that performance is something that this game is going to struggle with for quite a while, at least the foreseeable future. Now, as far as all the bugs and glitchiness and the zombies not really working, they appear to be more placeholder right now. But again, it's alpha, and I think all that stuff has still got a decent amount of work to be done, and I can't really hold that against them just yet. But in the end, is the DayZ standalone worth it versus the DayZ mod? In my opinion, yes. I think this game is going to be absolutely fantastic. The only real thing is, obviously, I hope they can improve the performance of the game and then somehow figure out a better spawning and logging out system. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be posting plenty more standalone in the future. Tips, tutorials, guides, things of that nature. Maybe some epic moments as well. As always, don't forget to leave a like, a comment below, subscribe to my channel for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.